Welcome back, everyone. Back to the podcast. Melanie and Chris here. We're filming on location, so you'll notice it's a bit different. We are just in Emerald at the moment for a client, so we're flying back later today. We do this from time to time, but so it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Sorry for the lighting, peoples, and probably the sound is probably not so awesome, but you'll still get us. Don't worry.
So what's new with you? What's happening?
Oh my goodness! So I was watching the news stations, and you probably don't realise this, but courts have been doing lots of stuff by video conference. You obviously know this, but viewers may not. Lots of hearings and lots of sort of all that kind of court stuff is done by video these days, and they've been using something called Zoom. Well, I was reading about this and some of the problems that might come up, and there was a giant case in Peru about look, if I'm wrong, send me, don't send 1,000 emails, just let me know. But I think it was about cartel or drugs or trafficking or something like that. It was a massive criminal matter. And the case was running, and some point in the middle of this case, on video, on Zoom, which was televised to the country, one of the lawyers was seen having sex, like properly. So it's a bit of an X-rated content today, ladies and gentlemen. But
Yes, by all means, if you're listening to this at work, I don't suggest you just...
This might be a bit X-rated today.
Don't just log straight on to Google and Google this video instantly. Wait at least until you get home.
Yeah. So they were fully onto it.
So what was he thinking? Like,
I don't know, but
how bored do you have to be to do that, right?
Yeah, this is actually really interesting. When you and I go to... Sorry, I'm just going to kind of... You and I go to court from time to time, and we're sitting there with our clients, and our clients are looking like they're falling asleep, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've had clients who kind of lean up to me and say, how do you stay awake? And the answer is, we know we can follow it, and because we're a party to the matter, it's easy for us to wait for our moment, so we stay alert. Of course we do. I guess this guy just got a little bit, maybe there's a lull, maybe this guy was doing a very long sort of statement, and I don't know, but they were full on, like probably full on. I'm not joking here,
They weren't holding back.
No, on a chair, off you go, this sort of thing. Yeah, naked and everything. Like, they didn't bother to leave their clothes on, like you see on some television shows, lift up, properly on. And of course,
what did the judge do? So
well, you know who it was.
Is happening.
This is it. Your name's on the thing.
Yeah.
Your firm's on the, up on televised.
He's fine, right?
Yeah. I expect he's going to be fine.
Does he even bother asking? Like, does he bother?
Does he just not too much?
Yeah.
I don't know, but the judge had to. Identified who the person was. Kind of went, it looks like we're going to have to take an adjournment, ladies and gentlemen, and kind of try to divert people's attention. But damage is done. It's televised live.
But it's kind of leads on to the kind of, what's your sort of tactics, because we've all been in court for hours and for those that are out there, court can be very long, and whilst we know what's going on, it's actually quite slow. Like it's not super action packed. It's really important, but it's not screaming and shouting. Lots of hand gestures. Quite often it's very kind of rigorous and as the barrister is kind of going point by point.
This is true, and for criminal matters here in Australia at least, the jury only hear matters of fact. So when there's an issue of law, quite often the jury is asked to get out and leave. So there's all this kind of toing and throwing that happens that takes time as well. So there could have been a moment where the jury was moving in and out. I don't know,
but yeah, I mean, like, I once had a lawyer tell me, because one of the problems as well is you don't typically get very much lunch on a court day, so typically you sort of start at about 9:30.
That's right. Then. But our day has started at like 6 or 5 a.m. So we're not starting at 9. No. We're out there. We're focusing on the matter. We're getting our documents ready. We're out doing stuff.
It's always really kind of
hours before,
huff and puffing towards the end.
Yeah.
So then you get to about lunch, and some of the judges sort of take it later than I usually have lunch. Like usually about 1:30.
Yeah.
But then what the problem is, you come back to the office and you've got either work to do in that case specifically, more than likely, or in others.
That's right.
So
you're
there's
not.
no lunch.
There's no lunch. No.
So I had a lawyer once tell me that a lot of barristers are in there for a long time and will pack like muesli bars and stuff
have
like
a little
that.
snack attack.
Snack at the bar table.
Ooh.
I mean, risky. I think it's really risky. But have just a little.
If there are any lawyers or barristers watching the show, I'd be fascinated to find out whether you have a little snack at the bar.
Have you ever gotten away with a little kind of duck under and...
Got an eyebrow raise, perhaps? I have never tried it. Perhaps next time.
I mean...
I'm not sure Justice Jarrett would tolerate that.
No, I think if you notice a little bit of sort of muesli crumb on the outside, you might be in a little bit of trouble. But I suppose we don't really need to worry about that now. You've got Zoom and stuff. Like,
just go off camera, have a quick snack attack. And
most people don't have their cameras on when they're doing Zoom meetings and things like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So who knows what is happening behind the scenes?
Well, we certainly knew at this time.
Well, you knew.
There's also, which is this must happen more than you think, because in a different news environment, I was looking at an article about an Argentinian lawyer doing exactly the same, well, not quite exactly the same thing. This is going to get proper X-rated. Some young, and this is the description I got, young, pretty, blonde lady, yeah, comes in, sits on the lap, he half undresses, has a bit of a nibble.
This is all on Zoom. Are you sure they weren't trying to kind of... Are they trying to sort of make a new career out of it and have a crack at the adult industry? Like, is that where they're going with this?
I don't know. What the fuck?
I mean, here you are, like the Peruvian guy, you've got a captive audience. It might be the only time in your life that you are in front of millions of people on screen. Bad publicity is still publicity. So...
Yeah, I guess, but it makes me wonder what happens, because, I'm there in a suit, I'm looking proper, I've got my clients with me. It just never occurred to me this sort of stuff happens behind the scenes.
But it must just... think about if that happens in courtrooms. What must happen in kind of informal
just
settings?
Office environments where you've got your video camera off. Are people sitting there having meetings while lying in bed watching TV?
I've no doubt. Because you've got your camera off.
Yeah,
you're muted.
Where does this end?
And if you're in a meeting where you're not kind of an active member. Surely people are doing that, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I could be naive, but it didn't occur to me that you'd be doing it in court. But certainly these two individuals.
Well,
the description, young, pretty, blonde female, just kind of really cracked me up. But yeah.
But you see videos of all sorts of stuff where people are walking around in their kind of their towel and stuff like that they've forgotten.
This is true. We had that weird one where the lady in the background was trying to grab the children. That famous
that is the best one. It's like he's crossed the scene and he appears to be. All due respect to him, he looks like he's a really serious guy.
This is a proper meeting.
He's on live on air and he's probably talking about, fiscal policy.
Something really non-children related.
And this kid just comes walking in, strolling in.
The lady underneath.
And she just comes absolutely flying into the room to grab the kids. And fair to him, he doesn't blink at all.
The whole thing happens behind him without even considering.
And... and the presenters aren't. I would have been cracked up.
Oh my god!
It doesn't matter how serious a policy you're talking about.
Yeah. I have to admit, we have cats in the office, 2 of them, and we're shortly about to have a puppy in the office, and more than once my cat's tails
have made an appearance.
Has made an appearance and starred in my Zooms.
I find with Zoom meetings and Zoom interactions, there's a certain equalizer about it.
Yeah.
There's no longer the big boardroom where, the person who's the most well-dressed sits at the very top table.
Yeah, the most well-paid or whatever.
And it's kind of... There's a certain kind of ranking of importance as to how close they are to the said person. Now it's all gone. Like you've got a Zoom kind of
Yeah.
grid.
Yeah, it's true. And you just got blah.
And everyone is wearing activewear,
T-shirts,
pajamas,
yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. So, no, I like it. I like the Zoom. I like having meetings by Zoom. I like the whole thing. I just, now I'm just going to have to keep an eye out for the interesting stuff, I guess.
Do you think people care about it anymore? Like, do people care about in face-to-face meetings? I mean, now we've done it for a year.
We have done it for a year. Well, almost a year. March, MJT Law stopped taking clients.
I think it was the 23rd of March was kind of the day it all
It's true.
kicked off for Australia.
We stopped taking clients around the 1st of March because we had clients who were giving us a lot of information about what was going on overseas, and we made the call that we were going to...
So you were fairly early to that.
We cut the office out, and we started looking at sending everyone home in the like 1st of March-ish. So we were prepared already, but we had the client base that gave us that information at the time. We could see it.
Yeah.
You know, all you needed to wait was for that wave to turn up. So, but do they care anymore? Well, I don't care. Do you?
Not me personally, but
Do you know anybody who does?
I don't think I've ever been the type to be like, I need to see someone in person. Like, so I want to, I don't know, speak to a real estate agent. Dude, I would just call them. Like, I wouldn't really have any issue with...
Well, what do we need to see in person? Do we even care that we don't see our doctor in person so much anymore? I've had a telephone.
Yeah, I've had one as well.
You know, you would think, what are the big ticket items here? We're talking about talking to your lawyer, talking to your doctor.
But what are you actually getting out of...
Physiotherapist? I mean, it's...
Well, I mean, that's different because
you know...
a massage or something. But
yeah.
When you speak to someone in person as to over the phone or over Teams, what are you actually like... What are you achieving?
I don't think
extra?
I'm any different. The information I'm handing over is no different. I like Zoom as opposed to a telephone because I get to see there's a lot of non-verbal cues you get that you don't get. We in Australia we work under the Fair Work Act.
Yeah.
We work with the Fair Work Commission, and as long as I can remember, conciliations have always been done over the telephone. Look, I think that could be Zoom personally. I think that there's a certain difference between telephone and video, but I don't think there's much difference between video and face-to-face.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But there's a lot of people who just want to meet and shake your hand. Not that we're shaking hands anymore, but yeah.
But it's just, I suppose, just when you really dig it down, why?
Why do we need things done in person? Is it archaic? I don't know. I like Zoom or Teams over telephone, but I don't think I like...
I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an issue with it, but...
I mean, I suppose it's going to be interesting because, I mean, in the coming months or sort of 6 months, hopefully, you know, everything will be close to normal and we can start at least considering...
True.
These things, and most employers will probably be considering having 100% of their workforce back. Are they going to get this influx of, can I come, I want a meeting, can I come into the office?
We've talked about this, haven't we? This concept of, does it change the office environment? Do you need as big a space as you used to? Do you need these dedicated office areas? I think, and we're a big open plan office, for those who don't know us. All of us are in the same giant space, basically. There's some minor barriers between us, but you can literally hear everything all the time.
You can hear someone type.
Yeah.
You can hear them breathe.
You can hear everything, and that's something that's to get used to, right?
Yeah.
But most people have been working in open plan for several years now. This is not a new concept.
The days of individual offices were like...
Yeah, I hate the idea of an office, ladies and gentlemen. It is, for me, because lawyers tend to get kind of locked away in these offices and they don't come out all day. So you might not talk to another human being if you're stuck in an office, and I call it stuck in an office. I don't see it as a privilege. I see it as a prison sentence.
Yeah, well...
I see it as being
Yeah, because I mean, it's not the massive corner office you see in TV shows with, you know, a coffee table
Yeah.
and a
But even if
whiskey bar.
But even if it was, I'm there alone the
That's true.
entire day.
It's
You know,
true.
so it's just not for me. So basically, guys, I make all my staff do what I want. so it's an open plan.
I'm not so sure.
I could always relegate you to the Lord Over room.
No, you could. That could be the
We have
detention
this,
room.
ladies, we have this one space where you can just go in and kind of shut the door and do your work, where we've just recently turned into a video conferencing room. And I keep teasing Chris that I'm going to relegate him to the naughty chair in the office, but it won't happen, don't worry.
But when I speak to some of my mates about it, I mean, they're all kind of my age. They're all fairly junior in their professions, and we've spoken about it. And putting aside, I suppose the
Kudos?
the kudos, the honour that comes with having an office.
Windows, yeah.
They're all more or less the same.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
not particularly jumping at the opportunity. I mean, it's more or less just four walls that indicate a gold star. Like it's because you're right. You're more than likely going to be staring at a wall.
Oh my
as
God!
well.
When I worked in offices, I was on my own the entire day, and that's not 9 to 5. We're talking about 7 till 10 at night. Like this is
It's confinement.
it's solitary confinement. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so I can see that going forward more and more. Even senior positions.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have nicer parts of the open plan. I get that.
Well, this is what EY did, didn't they? EY built EY was part of building a building in Brisbane called 111 Eagle Street, and certainly, to my knowledge, to this day, it is all open plan. Even the partners at EY don't get an office, but they do get very nice personal spaces.
Yeah, they might get a bigger area,
Yeah,
and
like-
it might be like on
And
the
the
window
PA's
in the
closer,
corner,
yeah,
and
that sort of thing. Yeah,
they
but
make
still an open plan. Yeah, I like the open plan. I like the lack of dedicated office space from a business owner perspective. Office space takes up costs,
Yeah,
so if you
that's
don't need it, that's brilliant. What I don't want to see is herding into these spaces. Oh, I can do open plan. We don't need offices anymore, so I can have 5 people in that space instead of 3. Do you know what I mean? Just
So like, the rule still applies about how close.
Yeah,
people.
I think because what often happens in an open plan is employers get a little bit overzealous about how to shrink their office space to make it
goes to the
cheaper.
bottom line,
Yeah. And they can tend to kind of squish all the employees.
Where it takes 10 centimetres from each
Yeah,
side of
yeah,
every
exactly.
employee before you know it, you're cutting a little bit of cost.
Yeah, it's a little bit like buying renting a unit in the 80s and renting a unit today. There's just obviously less space. The garage is smaller. There's everything's just kind of, and I don't want to see that because I think people need space and they need air around them.
Yeah.
But they don't need being solitary.
What's your opinion on? Because I really do not like hot desks.
Ooh, hot desking.
And I mean, I know that pre-COVID, because COVID really put it to death. But putting that aside, and who knows, it may come back in 5 years' time. I just thought, no, it wasn't for me.
How? I mean, like again, EY, they do all hot desking. I mean, even the partner technically is meant to hot desk, but obviously they don't. They rent that space out the whole time. I don't like hot desking, but if anybody out there thinks it really works for them, let us know. It might be a way to be more flexible at work. If you know you don't always have a seat, you can always convince your boss that you can do the work from home.
Okay.
So you can see from an employee perspective that hot desking can be a positive thing. And we've talked about this, it's if you like working from home.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back down to it. I mean, not everyone likes working from home.
No, not
and
everyone.
Everyone has now kind of realised that.
That's right. I like working from home.
For the vast majority of the population, they never really had an opportunity, and they've had it, and they realise it's not for them.
That's true. And not everyone is, even if they like working from home, they're completely not productive. So their boss doesn't like them working from
Yeah.
home. So there's kind of, but I can see how hot desking might encourage that sort of behaviours, which is not. I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just that's a workaround that might be nicer. Look, I don't like the idea of hot desking because I think people need their workspace.
Yeah, that's what I.
You know, they need to be able to settle in. They need to be able to put something there. They need to know that their cup's going to be there tomorrow morning. Do you know what I mean? They need to know that where they sit their chair on this desk, it's going to.
This is my chair. Feels like.
Yeah, it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
That your screens are always going. I think there's an amount of readjusting every day if you're hot desking.
But that's why I think it doesn't work, because I think it goes against human nature. Because quite frankly, everyone I've ever spoken to that has hot desking in their offices, inevitably what happens is everyone just ends up with their spot. This is my. It's like a spot on a bus. Like, this is my spot.
Yeah.
And no one dares come and take my spot, even though there is absolutely no reason why.
Yeah. This is very true, and I'm going to change the subject slightly. For those of you who don't know, which is probably everybody, this is my second career. My first career I was a governess, and in many, many parks, the governesses in Europe would have their spot. So it even happens in this environment. Like, if you were at the Lord's Garden, for instance, in London, you would have this chair would be your chair, and you'd
like
go
a
out.
Bench
A bench chair, and you'd know that if you turned up at 11 o'clock, that bench chair would be empty for you to sit in because no one else is sitting in that bench chair. And so it's kind of that sort of situation. But even in that environment, so you're probably right. People are habitually like.
Is it territorial? Like, is this what this?
It can be.
Is essentially what we're talking about here? Is our like human nature to be? This is my area. Don't come into my area.
Yeah, maybe, or it may be familiarity. I don't know.
Maybe it's coming from a bit nicer place, rather than an animalistic kind of territory.
I mean, think about it. If you go to the same cafe to pick up your coffee every day,
Yeah.
you actually want the person serving you to know your name.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And we like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
the same.
Yeah, not territorial perhaps, but more it's comforting. It's the knowledge that you could go to the right place and you know everything that's there. You know, like, I've been coming to Emerald now for a really long time, and I know that if I drive down this way at a certain time of the day, turning right's going to be really difficult. So, it's all that sort of familiarity. You know, we like going to McDonald's because we know the burger we're going to get.
It's going to be the exact same.
We like going to Coles as opposed to Woolworths, or Woolworths as opposed to Coles, because we know the food we're going to get there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's more about familiarity and that comfort around it. You don't move your house around every 5 minutes.
No, but I mean, we experienced the other day. So we spent last Friday moving the entirety of the office around.
We did the entire office.
It's entirely different.
Every desk, everything.
I actually don't think anything. I don't think anything stayed. Like, I actually don't think anything stayed in the same position.
The collapse.
Yes, one
thing, ladies and gentlemen.
We still moved it, and then realised it needed to go back. So it wasn't like we didn't get to move it.
No. We definitely moved it out. But then we moved it.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's the one thing that stayed. I think the collapse. Collapse, guys, is like a large bookshelf.
So, I mean, it kind of feels. You feel different, like you feel fresh, even.
You do.
You know?
Yeah, it's like changing the sheets on your bed. It feels good. You feel like you've got more space, even though you don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, for those of you who move their sofas around every 8 or 9 or 10 months, you just kind of.
It feels different. The whole room feels different.
It feels spacious. Yeah. Why didn't we do this before? You know, stuff like that.
We should have never done it the other way. So, I mean, I can see it, but I don't know. I think changing every day would be taxing.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? There's the seat place, because we changed where all our desks were. We changed where the meeting room was. We moved where the cats kind of hang out. We've put a new puppy pen in.
Yep.
We've done it all, right?
Yep.
But our desks still look exactly the same, and our chairs still exactly the same. So we're still going to something, even though it's in the different spot.
Space.
Yeah, so your space, and like, I've got my pictures up where I like them, and everyone's got their things around. And
I suppose when you have hot desking, you end up with a very kind of bland working space, because it would just be. I'm picturing it being that kind of veneer wood long
Yeah.
kind of
Well, I have to think
situation
about
with
this.
just docking stations and
Yeah.
screens.
Have you ever been? I think about this when I look at Centrelink or the titles office or something like that, and you go there and you know the person that's sitting there talking to you is not always at that desk, because what they've done is they've got they've got 2 pens and they've got. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really.
It's really what do you call it? Sanitized or sterile. It's just. There's no personal stuff there.
No.
They haven't, like you see on the movies, if someone sits down at the desk and they put their little picture up somewhere.
Yeah.
No one's doing that in hot desking. No one. Even though it's a nice idea.
But it's kind of like when we hired the car, where it's like, oh, there's a new person, but it's just they're now working in a different slot.
That's true. What? Yeah. I was like, oh, my hire car.
person's got.
My hire person's got. Yeah.
Actually, I have a funny story about that. I was travelling once, and you're at kind of the airport, and you've got your Red Rooster, and you've got Subway, and something else. I think it was Domino's, and they're all kind of there. And I was ordering something, and I'd ordered it, and then I was waiting for it, and I wasn't really paying a heap of attention. But I noticed that the same guy was working at both stores.
By stores.
Both stores at the same time. So here he was. He had taken my Domino's order, and he just kind of gone around the corner, and now he is now the Subway guy.
Right.
The same
Where
guy.
were you?
I was at the Brisbane airport.
Oh, right.
The Brisbane domestic airport. And I was completely... I thought for a second that they were twins or something. And he sort of wore a bit of both uniforms. So he had like the kind of Subway hat on with a Domino's shirt. And he just kind of did both. So...
Oh, I'm sorry, that's just really weird.
It was extremely weird for me at the time.
Yeah, I've never experienced that.
But it was really weird.
It's kind of like one of these old, hi, I'm here today to be your, and then they take the hat off.
That's exactly what I thought. It was exactly like that. He just kind of, now he's back.
That's
and
hilarious.
then vice versa. I watched him as he continued to serve both sets of customers.
Wow.
Yes, he's a pretty hardworking guy.
Really busy day.
Really
Busy
hard
day.
guy. So funny you should mention about these kind of funny kind of little things that have been coming up.
Yep.
It made me, when we sort of, you mentioned to me yesterday, and I sort of thought I'd do a bit of Googling.
Okay.
And I came across this kind of page, and it had some of the funniest cases that have ever happened across the world. And I sort of picked up 2 that I thought was absolutely hilarious. So the first one is, a guy was suing the UK government for discrimination based off his age because they refused to allow him to change his age. So he had made a complaint that he was unable to, he wasn't doing very well on Tinder. Because Tinder doesn't allow you to kind of change your age very easily.
Okay.
Like artificially, like it kind of is fairly accurate.
Right.
And he thought, as a 69-year-old male, that
Okay.
he wasn't getting the type of matches that he wanted, and he wanted to simply change his age. And he kind of said, well, if you can change your name in order to avoid discrimination, why can't you change your age?
Okay. Can I ask how changing your name to avoid discrimination works? What do you mean by that?
You can think about... So we know that, discrimination happens everywhere, and it happens before you start employment.
So you change your name to Joe, for instance, to pretend you're a boy or a girl.
But everyone, almost half the world's population does it, essentially. You can imagine people who, for example, from Asia, who change their name. It may not be for that reason, but it's a similar type of thing.
I see what you mean. Okay. Yes. No, I get it. Sorry.
So I get where he was coming from.
Yeah. You change your name to avoid discrimination. You can change your age to... Okay, keep going. This sounds like it's going to be...
The issue he had was not so much the kind of ludicrousy of it, but when you actually... you can kind of dig through the ludicrousy. The problem was... Age has nothing to... It's not something you can change. Like, age is literally the time between your birth.
It's a linear thing, right?
Like, it's not kind of a choice.
So,
you either are a certain
So
date.
how did he propose... What did he propose his age was going to be?
He proposed to be 35.
No.
Yep. 35.
Do you look like a 35-year-old?
He didn't have pictures, but I think you can safely say he didn't. I mean, he didn't look 34
69,
years.
right?
He wasn't 34 years younger looking. I mean, there's not enough moisturising cream on Earth in order for you to kind of just lather it up.
There's not enough stem cells in the world.
No, God, no. But it kind of leads me to my next one that I found, and this one was successful.
Sorry, my reference to stem cells is actually the Futurama thing. Sorry.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, anyway.
So, this one was actually successful.
So he was unsuccessful.
This one, he was unsuccessful.
Poor Papa. Was he very upset?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was really disappointed.
Well, okay, so guys, when we think about age, we think of linear, and that's a massive change, right?
Massive change. Do you think it would have mattered if...
So what, he wanted a court order to make Tinder change? What was this?
No, he wanted to legally change his age. Now, it's a bit strange though, because I mean, you don't put your age in legal documents, you put your date of birth. But I don't know whether he was wanting to change his date of birth.
Good point.
Because that's actually just lying.
Oh, it's just weird, right? That's a weird thing to want.
It is really strange, but I mean, each to their own. I mean, he lost, but...
Well, everybody has a right to agitate their grievances.
Their grievances. Let the court decide.
Let the court decide.
I mean, even if I had no chance whatsoever, but...
Well, no chance whatsoever. I'm not sure you're allowed to do it. But wow, that's an outsider. It's the only thing that comes to my mind is that lady in the dish. No, not the dish. Sorry, the Castle, the TV, the movie, the Australian movie, The Castle, where the judge, you know, the guy goes, "Am I in the ballpark?" And he goes, "Your case is not strong." Yeah,
it's the vibe.
It's the vibe, Your Honour.
It's the vibe.
The case is not strong. Yeah, that's just what, you know. Yeah. So this other case. All
right. So this other case, a gentleman sued his wife because his child was ugly. so he claimed, and this is a quote, that the child was incredibly ugly.
How old was this kid?
I mean, this is like a toddler, like a baby.
Wow.
I know, pretty rough sort of thing to say.
Really ugly.
And he sort of claimed that it looked like neither parent. So naturally, they also did a paternity test, and he was the father. So I mean, also kind of, it's 50% his ugliness.
I'm just saying.
Just putting that out there.
So was he claiming his wife was ugly?
Well, what ended up happening, and the reason he was successful...
He was successful?
He was successful.
So suing the wife for having an ugly child?
For misrepresentation as to her own beauty, because turns out through all of this, she had a massive amount of like Botox and facial surgeries and things like that. So he didn't actually know what she looked like, basically.
That is crazy!
So when the child was born, it looked like what she, you know, her genetics would have looked like, which was nothing like either parent.
Oh my God.
And nothing like her.
What's your end game here?
Well, you got a payout of, I think, about $39,000. I don't know what that was. I didn't look too much into
to do what for? I mean, what's the point? It's not like it's going to change the fact your kid's ugly. It's just.
I mean, yeah, I don't know where your loss is here. I mean, like,
where was this case?
It was in China, so there's a bit of that going on.
Okay,
but I mean, it made it enough to make it one of the kind of craziest cases.
That's crazy. You were being successful in having an ugly child. Misrepresentation. Wow. I mean,
broadly speaking.
It was a whole new level to beer goggles, right?
Oh, massive, right?
Wow.
But your whole marriage is like that.
Shit. Well, excuse my language, ladies.
But yeah, broadly speaking, I mean, I kind of see it.
You kind of see it. You're gonna be slammed on the internet.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't think he should have sued it. I mean, it's pretty rough.
He should have just moved on.
I think he should have just moved on. And I mean, but...
I'm just thinking about kind of the knock-on effect to that. You you're suing your wife for having a really ugly kid. What happens when the kid grows up and it figures it out?
Oh, pretty rough, eh? Like it's gonna be pretty not such a nice thing to read at the end of the day. So, I mean, I don't know his end game here.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's. But,
Mad case.
and he won. It's absolutely incredible.
And he won because of her augmentation surgery.
But I mean, I also read another kind of crazy one of, you know how when you go to McDonald's or one of the burger chains, like it still costs the same for the burger if you take stuff out.
Yes.
And I mean, I know it's like $1.
Yeah.
Or like it probably actually costs.
Well,
like
this is really
10
interesting.
cents.
It doesn't. Yes, it doesn't. They don't charge you less for removing a piece of cheese, but they will charge you more for adding it.
Yeah. So like if you've got a
Okay.
quarter pounder.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you really hate cheese.
Yeah.
So you take the cheese off.
Yeah.
It still costs the
So
same.
you got a giant hamburger at that point because hamburgers don't have cheese in them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So you take it off. Still costs the same.
Still costs the same.
And the gentleman tried to sue for the cost of all the cheeseburgers that he's had that they've
Taking the cheese out.
and essentially he basically claimed unjust enrichment because
Because you can
the
keep
burger
it.
joints is getting the price of it and the cheese.
With the cheese, so they could then sell it again. It's interesting. How did it go?
He lost.
Oh,
He
well,
lost.
I don't know. I can see how that might get up in the right circumstances because every now and again I go to McDonald's and I like sprinkles on my sundaes,
Okay,
and they charge me for the sprinkles.
How much do they charge you?
It's like an extra 50 cents or something.
Okay, that's about right.
You know, and you just 50 cents for sprinkles. You know,
The whole bottle probably costs $1.
yeah,
you know, like-
whatever. But if they're able to charge me extra for the sprinkles, what if I wanted just the ice cream sundae with only the ice cream? They would still charge me for the hot chocolate.
Oh, yeah,
so I can see the point, but you're still choosing to buy a particular burger or you're still choosing to buy a particular product. You've seen the price. You know how much it costs. They're not offering it to you for any less. All you're doing is making an amendment to that, which is not their fault. So I can kind of see how that might play out.
But, I mean, it essentially comes down to, as again crazy as it sounds, it's basically offering acceptance, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
It's you
You
have
go
said
in
to the
there.
cashier, all right, I want a quarter pounder without cheese. They
Yeah.
then say $4.90 or $5.90.
Yeah.
You then pay the money.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a cashier that goes 4.90. They're actually just pressing a button that pops up $4.90.
So you've got the offer, you accepting it.
I agree. And you're not choosing the burger specifically because of any,
No.
you obviously want the burger, you just don't want something in it. And you could just as easily take the cheese and take the cheese off yourself.
Maybe that's the answer.
There are hundreds upon hundreds of people who hate the pickle.
Yes, the pickle.
I actually happen to like the pickle, but yes.
I'm also a pickle person.
Yeah, but like my brother James, for instance, he's not a pickle guy.
I always find that they've kind of meet, like the non-pickles people always meet with and always eat with pickle people.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of a beautiful rainbow, kumbaya moment. Where,
Here, have my pickle.
and you get extra pickles, which you really like.
I love pickles, yeah. So maybe the answer is not to ask for no something or other.
Just take it off yourself.
Look, this was a really good way to do this way back. For those of you who don't remember, McDonald's used to be a place where you could go and they had all these burgers in a row. Like they had this big...
What do you mean?
Well, now you order your burger, it goes around the back, they make it for you,
Yeah.
you wait around. Yeah. But when I was your age, they had these big trays behind them when you were ordering that just had all the burgers in it.
Like pre-made.
Yeah, like when you go to the fish and chip shop, for instance, and all the food is made there. They just had all these burgers in these big long sort of lines, like you would pull Coke out of a fridge.
Yeah.
Honestly, just exactly like that. And you just go, oh, I'd like a cheeseburger and blah blah, and they just go, okay, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
And they had all these rules about how long a burger could sit around for before they throw them out and stuff like that. So.
Those workers would have eaten a lot of burgers back in the day.
Oh, look, there was a fair amount of waste, and there was a real art and a science to, I guess, of calculating how many you would need. But if you wanted a fresh burger, there was a couple of things you could order. A fillet o fish,
Yeah.
Because there were never enough in the back, because they wouldn't make them because they were so odd.
Yeah.
Or you would order a burger without something.
And because they can't go.
No, they can't turn around and pull it out.
But why don't they just pull it out? Oh, and take.
They're not going to go in because it's all wrapped. These things are all
okay,
pre-wrapped into those little papered things. Yeah, they're all just there, put them into a
so
bag.
you're taking stuff off, right? Like, surely everyone would just be taking stuff off.
Well, most people didn't want to wait for their burgers like they do now. Honestly.
Like the wait the.
I can't wait the 5 minutes.
minutes
Yeah,
or
I
3
can't
minutes.
do it. Yeah, so it was. So there was a way around not having a burger that had been sitting there, which was to order something that was never there. So you'd look around the corner and go, oh, I have one of these things, and there wasn't. Yeah, it was like, oh, filet fish which was the most common one. Or you order something without something, and then they'd have to freshly make it and give it to you.
Huh? It's a bit of a hack.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hack, but these days obviously that doesn't work.
It's not gonna fly.
But yeah, it was so maybe that was kind of
where it all kind of got born out of.
I don't know. Oh, I like them without the pickles, thank you. You know.
But maybe the answer is more so you get it, you take it off yourself that way. You're still getting your
still
full
get it.
value. I mean, you can go to the bid, but you're at least robbing them of the chance.
Robbing them.
You're robbing them of the chance of having it.
Oh, you're robbing them. Yeah, robbing them. You are not allowing them to sell you the product at full price and then sell it again at full price. That's what you're stopping, right?
You could always just accumulate all the cheese that you need.
Well, they do say it will last like 6,000 years or something.
Probably.
All those stories about, McDonald's fries or something.
Completely the same.
So I don't think that's true.
Do you think the Twinkie thing is true?
Yes.
Do you reckon?
Yes, I've eaten a Twinkie before, and I absolutely believe you can pick one up in 40 years and eat it. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I absolutely believe. There's people out there, if you have tested this theory, let us know. But yeah, I believe the Twinkie.
What's the oldest Twinkie someone? Oh, surely there's got to be someone who's
I absolutely believe that if you bought a wrapped Twinkie in 1940 and ate it today, it would taste the same. Honestly,
Really?
I honestly believe that.
Are they just processed to the hills?
They're just really processed. I mean, okay, we're going to get sued by every Twinkie company. But no, I do believe that. So, if Mythbusters ever checked it out or whatever,
I'm sure they did,
be interested to find out.
I'm just picturing all you kind of doomsday prep is you go into their kind of
Buy the
foxhole
Twinkies.
and it is just
Well,
wall-to-wall Twinkies.
Well, if you can do it with canned vegetables. You can do it with canned stuff. You can eat
That's true.
You can get baked beans from 45 years ago. So why not everything else that's wrapped?
It's true. It's true.
I don't see the difference, but no.
So I'm just picturing the kind of wasteland and just everyone is just tucking into Twinkies, and there is a kind of finite.
Yeah, all
Twinkie
that's left
supply.
are Twinkies and cockroaches or something.
And what a existence that would be.
Twinkies and cockroaches. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like freezer, which the food in the freezer will slowly go bad.
Yeah.
That's what happens with freezers, right? Because you can't eat a pizza in the freezer from 20 years ago because it's actually just gone bad.
Yeah.
It would go rock hard or something. And I can tell you from experience, this is really dumb. Well, I'm a big camper, and a big hiker. So one of the things you can do when you're hiking is go in with those single packets of pasta things. And all you got to do is put the pasta in the water and boil it up, put the lid on, and just leave it for 5 minutes and you can straight and eat it. It's a really easy way to make food. From experience, you can't have super old pasta without it tasting really horrible. Yeah, because we had some from that was about, I don't know, 10 years out of date.
Yeah.
And we still took it with us and well, let's just say it didn't taste as good as it could have.
What did it? Does it just kind of go rancid?
Yeah, it tastes like... Oh, what's the way around? I can explain it. Have you ever drunk Coke that's too old and it's flat and it tastes a bit funny?
Yeah.
And it's like a weird tangy taste to it and all that?
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like. Well, not exactly like that. But
Not like Coke, I imagine, but yeah.
But it's like that. Yeah, and you just know that it's wrong. But
Yeah.
you know also it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, it didn't make you sick.
No, not at all. No, there's nothing wrong with the food. It was just horrible.
It was just horrific.
It wasn't very nice to eat.
So, I mean, it still did its job.
Absolutely, we still ate it because that was the only thing we had. But
So you didn't die, but you got close to it.
Well, I didn't die, but I didn't feel like I really wanted to eat it.
No.
No matter how
Just
hungry.
Close your eyes, close your
No
nose.
matter how hungry I was, I didn't feel like it was the right thing to eat.
You kind of could skip a meal.
Yeah, but I didn't because, of course, you've got a long walk ahead of you, so you kind of just have to suck. You're sucking it up. But there was no bad things that happened to my body later. Like, sometimes you eat a dodgy piece of prawn or something.
And you're a crook.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. It was just not very nice.
I think you took that risk on a camping trip because I don't know about you, but that sounds like the worst time to get any sort of stomach bug.
That's true, especially when you've walked in. Like there's nowhere to go but walk back with all your gear. It's just not a choice.
No.
Yeah, actually I've never actually been
Sick.
physically ill on a trip, but I have been physically injured on a trip, but not physically ill.
That's quite lucky, actually.
I think my preference is to be injured over ill.
Oh. Yeah. I think I would rather a slightly broken arm than food poisoning.
Yes. Although food poisoning takes less time.
Yeah, like it'll be over within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And okay, sure, but you'll be in a cast with
Yeah, but you will at least feel good. Yeah.
You'll be having your painkillers and whatever,
Yeah.
and it'll going to last you 8 weeks. But
this is true.
I think I could hands down say that I would rather the broken arm.
I have had proper food poisoning before.
Yeah, I've had it as well.
I'm not sure I'd be keen to experience that again. So I think I'd agree with you. But those of you who've never broken their arms might think food poisoning is better because actually breaking your arm hurts.
It does. To be fair.
But it's only pain, whereas there's a whole lot more going on with food poisoning.
Especially if I'm imagining you're kind of like 40 kilometres into your trip.
Yeah, it's not nice. It wouldn't be nice.
And you're like a good hike away from anything.
Yeah, because normally a normal hike is somewhere between sort of 12 and 16 kilometres to the next stop. So even if you walked in one day, you're a good, 5 hours from help.
Yeah.
I know, ladies and gentlemen, ever eaten an old Twinkie?
Yeah, have you gotten sick or like did it go to mush?
Yeah,
or what happened to it?
Is the Twinkie company that at this very stage writing a defamation claim against us?
Probably, but I mean that story has probably made them heaps of fame. Like,
I like the Twinkie story.
I didn't really know it until you kind of hear this story.
I like the Twinkie story.
That it's the ultimate survival.
I actually really like Twinkies, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could eat one from 40 years ago either.
No.
I don't have a problem with Twinkies. I just think you could probably open one up from 40 years ago and eat it. But let us know because there's bound to be someone out there who's done that.
And if we're still not sued before then, I guess
we're still around.
We'll probably see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yes, indeed. Have a lovely day for the rest of you, and we'll be at our new spot at our old office.
Yeah, you'll get to all see the different move and what has happened to everything back there.
That's right.
All right.
See you later.